Hello and welcome to the Remedyfibers podcast, a podcast about knitting, crochet, and hosted by me, Jillian. So today I'm coming to you on President's Day. I decided not to record on a Sunday just because a lot was going on and I had today off, so why not? I will be hosting with my co-host Benny, who found his toy that I put away from him because he actually ripped the stomach open. But come on this side. This is your podcasting spot. As you can see, I do have a finished object today, and it's my weekender. I will post clips throughout the week of me working on it, but I want to say I really love it. I'm obsessed with how it came out. I don't want to work on nothing but sweaters, but unfortunately I don't have any more yarn to make a sweater with, so that's where my works in progress really got impacted. So today we're going to get started with my finished object that I'm currently wearing. It took me about a week and a half to 2 weeks to finish this sweater, and this is the Weekender by Andrea Renee Knits, designer Andrea Maury. And I really love the sweater. I love how it came out. It was really fun and addicting to work on, especially that I haven't worked on a sweater in maybe 2 years. And I would say it's definitely beginner friendly. It was easy to follow the directions of the pattern. They were very clear. I also used this tutorial called The Knitting Whimsy. She has a play-by-play of how she knit the sweater. She doesn't provide the actual pattern because it's a paid-for pattern, but because I haven't worked on a sweater in a long time and I'm not really comfortable with knitting bottom up, she shows you how to proceed from when you're switching from like splitting the front and the back because you're first working in the round, and how to cast on the sleeves. And I really liked her tutorial because she did have some modifications, such as binding off using the tubular cast off for the neck and for the sleeves, and I preferred that than the one that was written in the pattern. But overall, it was a really fun pattern to work with. I would 10 out of 10 knit it again, and I would even use the same yarn that I used for this one. So the yarn that I used for this sweater is the West Yorkshire. It's called the Croft in the Shetland wool, and the colorway that I used was called Maryfield. I bought 4 skeins, even though I only used maybe a quarter of the 4th skein. So I really just used 3 skeins and a little bit of a 4th one. I still have to block the sweater. I'm waiting to see if I'm going to go to the store to buy wool wash or if I'm just going to order it online. I did have to buy I think it was the size 9 16-inch circulars to finish off the sleeve, because I started off with the double pointed needles and it was so slow. I was worried that I was going to lose a stitch. Then I was doing the magic loop where I have like the 40-inch circular and just like pulling, knitting, and I really don't like that method. That's why I have such tiny circular needles for my socks. So I said screw it. I went on Amazon, I bought the circulars, and the amount of time it took me to knit the second sleeve compared to the first sleeve was night and day. I think I finished this one sleeve in one day, and it took me about 2 or 3 days to finish the other sleeve without having the 16-inch circulars. So other than that, I'm extremely happy with how it turned out. The ribbing is rolling just because it isn't blocked, and if I was to I am wearing a bra with this, but it's like I kind of have to have the straps down because then you kind of see it, and I don't really like that. So I guess I'll have to find a creative way to wear it. But other than that, I really like it. In the video, I'm going to post clips of my progress working through the sweater throughout the week. One of the clips, I said the sleeve was shorter than the other. It really was bothering me, so I ripped it back, and now the sleeves are pretty much identical. I just had to add maybe 2 or 3 more inches on one sleeve, because I kind of like that feel when you can put the sweater in your hands like that. I did also mention that it's on the itchier side. This is Shetland wool, 100%, and it has that itch scratch factor to it. I had to re-record this because my battery was dying and I was sitting here waiting for the battery to charge, and I am feeling on the itchy side, so I'm hoping maybe the wool wash will soften it up a little bit. If not, it's not too bad. But that's where it brings me into trying to find softer yarns, or because I've moved to California, more climate appropriate yarns, because I'm not sure if I could wear this in the hot summer months. Right now it's okay because in the mornings and in the nights it is pretty cold. It's in the 30s to 40s, but in the middle of lunchtime, smack middle of the day, it can be, right now we're in the mid 60s, but last week we were in the mid 70s, and we're only in February, so I can't imagine what June, July, August is gonna look like. I can't imagine what August is gonna look like because I was here last August, but I definitely cannot be wearing this. So definitely let me know what you're working on right now, and if you are in a warmer climate or if you knit summer items, let me know what designers or patterns you recommend. I've been trying to look through Ravelry. I've been trying to watch so many YouTube channels to see what they're working on and what they recommend. I was watching TL Yarns and I saw some of the Drops cotton yarn that I would like to try, but yeah, I think that's where I'm struggling right now because I want to continue to make sweaters. They're really fun. I think they're really magical too because I can't believe that I made this. But I also don't want to put so much time and effort and money into making them, and then I literally can't wear them because it's too hot outside. Here is my sweater. That's so cool. The only downside is it's feeling a little itchy. Now it's got this sleeve to go. I just cast off and I'm in love with this sweater. I love how the shoulder came out. I think one sleeve might be a little bit longer than the other sleeve. And tomorrow I want to go to the yarn store and get more yarn. I also haven't bought yarn in a really long time. Many of you know that when I moved across the country, I gave up a big part of my stash. And so the yarn that I've really been working with for the last couple months has been mostly acrylic yarn from Michael's or Joann's. But because I really want high quality knits when I'm making garments, for blankets, for accessories, hats, you know, those kind of things, I don't really care. But I know that when you are using lower quality yarns, they tend to pill more, or they just don't uphold as much to wool yarn or linen or more of the fancier type yarn. So for garments, I'm willing to pay more money. But since I've been out of buying yarn, the yarn game, in a long time, is it me or have the prices gone up? I was looking at some beautiful indie dyed yarns, and I just can't wrap my mind around paying nearly $40 for one skein. And then when I try to rationalize it, like, oh, you know, famous knit designs, these would be the yarns that they're making, so why not spoil myself? I still can't wrap my mind around it. So right now I'm fighting myself. Do I make big investments for quality, or is quality just, is it just like a thing that I'm making up in my mind and there's just as good quality at more affordable prices? So you know how they have like name brand versus no name brand, and most often they're being made by the same people. However, because of that name brand, the prices go up. Or do I put something more budget friendly and go with that? So that's where I'm at. I haven't purchased any yarn. I haven't gone to the yarn shop to buy anything as of recently because I'm really trying to save. I've actually been having aggressive savings goals for maybe going on 2 years right now. Because of my job, I'm able to save aggressively, and I have about $50K in student loan debt. I know it's such a big number, and my goal is to cut half of that down this year, and then in 2 years cut the rest of that down. And I just don't want to splurge on things that I know is gonna make meeting my goal much harder. And so I'm being frugal, I'm being cost conscious, because there's been times in the past where I've gone crazy and then sometimes the yarn just sits there. And I also want to be mindful and intentional in what I'm making and what I'm making it for, and the quantity versus the quality, as well as the time commitment. So because many of you may know, I've been on and off podcasting because my interests change so much sometimes. So last year I read 42 books, and you can check out my Goodreads. I can put it below to see what were some of my favorites. But I read 42 books. Most of my time consisted of reading. When I wasn't working, when I wasn't doing whatever else, I was reading. And this year, so far in 2022, I've read 7 books. Some of them were audiobooks, but 7. And then I kind of just lost my knitting mojo. And so my fear is, what if I invest this money into yarn and then my interests change again? And I really want to stay in the present in what I'm doing, what I'm creating, and also working on 1 to 2 projects at a time, just because I can get overwhelmed or my interest changes. And today I want to sing, tomorrow I want to dance, the next day I want to crochet. So I want to also keep that in mind, and that's just how I am, that's just how I've been, and accepting that rather than feeling the pressure to commit to one thing or spend money and then it not go to use. So right now what I'm working on, I just started it a couple weeks ago. I put it down and now I'm picking it back up with all of those granny squares that I showed you. And this one, I'm not even matching it to the other sizes. I'm just gonna keep going and make it really huge. I'm not sure if I'm gonna add more colors to it. I'm not sure if I'm gonna sew on those little squares and add it to this big square. The thing I love about crocheting is I kind of just do whatever my mind feels like at that time, and kind of play with it and add to it and just make it fun. A couple months ago, I wanted to get back into knitting and crochet, and I decided to reach out to a local group. They have a prayer shawl ministry, and they knit and crochet comfort shawls. And I know if you watch some of my older episodes, I used to run a knit and crochet group called Wrapped in Love, which actually is still going on. And we used to knit and crochet comfort shawls for grieving families. And if you want to get involved in that one, that's located in New Jersey, and I can include the link for how to get involved with them. But I felt like giving back and creating for others, that's something that has always been really important to me. And so I wanted to get involved and see if they're still going strong. But because of COVID, they stopped the meeting, and they're actually going to start meeting again. I want to say today, but I want to still be cautious on who I'm around, especially since it's an older group and I'm constantly around college students. I just want to make sure that I'm being safe, but also safe for them too. But even though I got both vaccines and I got the booster, I still don't want to get COVID. Another work in progress that I'm working on are my Rhinebeck Roomy socks. Right now I'm working on the heel flap, and I don't know, I was really excited to work on these socks. I really love the colors, but something about them, I'm just not really motivated to work on them. I was working on them yesterday, and while I was watching some Netflix and Hulu, but I think because I was so tunnel vision on finishing The Weekender, I was like, I gotta finish before my next episode, that I kind of lost my motivation in working on them. So let me show you them right now. I still have them in my little cute yarn bag. But here are the Rhinebeck Roomies, so they definitely got long. I really love working stockinette while watching YouTube or Netflix. Right now I'm binging Love is Blind. I love that freaking show. I watched the first season, now they're on the second season, and if you wait till February 25th to start watching it, that's when the finale is going to come up, so you can watch all of them. I started watching them, then I had to wait till February 18th, now I have to wait till February 25th. But that show is you find love through a wall, and then you engage, and then finally you meet them and decide if you want to get married. So it's very cheesy, very reality TV. I used to be addicted to watching reality TV, but then it kind of stresses me out too, especially the ones where they're fighting and arguing. Those stress me out, so I stopped watching them. And then when I was watching TL Yarn Crafts, she got me watching Sexy Beast, which is a blind date show where they put costume design, and you'll have a fox, you'll have a lion, you'll have different characters, and they see if they want to go on a second date or a third date based off the character. And then they reveal, if you don't pick somebody, they reveal who the person is behind the mask. And it's so hilarious, it's so corny and cheesy, and that's the type of shows that I like. But you can kind of see that the foot is forming. This is where the heel flap would be. I'm in the middle of the row because I'm working on the heel flap. I'm working on the heel turn, so that's when the heel part will have a little bit more enforced fabric for wear and tear. But after I get through the heel turn, I'll work on the gusset, which I think I'm just knitting for like 50, 60 rounds. And then I start decreasing for the toe, and then I'm done. I do enjoy working on socks, but I think sweaters have captivated me, and this hasn't been as fun. But I'm gonna keep trying. I don't want to give up, and I'm almost there. And I really do like when I just have plain stockinette to do it during lunch, or do it during a break. And that's really all that I have. This is the square I was talking to you about. It's just a regular granny square. I'm just gonna keep making it round and round and round. Something to do mindless, not much thought, no pattern. But as for future knits, I would love to hear what you're working on, what you have on your needles or crochet hook at this time. I'm pattern hunting. I'm trying to find things that I'm really gonna be excited to wear. Right now, I'm really inspired by the podcaster on YouTube, Aro Knits and Pearls, and she made the Petal Party crop top, I think it is, and that uses 2 skeins of fingering weight. So when I'm looking for patterns, I'm also thinking about how much yardage do I have the needles, what is the cost of the pattern, because I just want to be cost conscious. And I also was looking at one of the designs that she test knit for, which I believe the pattern is available, called the Hudson Valley Pullover. Or I was also looking into the Tin Can Knits pattern. I think it came out years ago, the flax sweater. I also saw she has the flax light version with a lighter weight yarn. And I want to try a raglan style sweater. I've never knit a raglan style. This one was bottom up. When I knit the Tecumseh, that one was top down. So I want to try a raglan style sweater, and I know that one is top down, but it just seems similar to the way this one was constructed in a way. And I want easier knits. I want to start beginner easy level. So I'm trying to see what patterns are not going to break the bank for the pattern, for the yarn, see if I have the needles, but also picking colors that's where I struggle too, picking sweater colors, because for me I want to knit all the purples, the pinks, the neons, but when I'm actually shopping for clothes, I pick a lot of greens, grays, blacks, a lot of neutrals. But I don't want to really knit those. I feel like those would be boring. So I'm trying to have a balance of what I would actually wear versus something that would be fun to make, but I'm not gonna actually wear it. And that's the problem I have with the Tecumseh sweater. I pick bright, bold colors that I never really wore in my day-to-day life, and it didn't go with anything, and it was a struggle, and I felt guilty not wearing it, but in practicality, those colors just weren't something that I wore in my day-to-day life. So I don't know if you have that problem, but let me know if you do, and how you kind of have that balance between, I will wear this, it matches my clothes that I have, rather than, I don't care if it doesn't match what I have, I will make it work. I know that Stitches West is coming up. It's coming up next week already, and so I do plan on attending. I haven't bought my ticket yet because I'm still waiting to get a little bit closer. I want to make sure that when I do go, I have my pattern ready, how much yarn I want, my budget. I don't want to go crazy, and I think that would be really fun to just kind of see all the yarns, see them in person. I have a hard time buying yarn online because sometimes I want to see how it feels, the colors, I want to see them, and online can be a little bit iffy. So as for life update, last week was a little bit rough. On Saturday, we were able to visit Lake Clementine, which is located in Auburn. It's about an hour-ish, hour and a half away from us, and it was beautiful. I loved it. It was kind of scary because the Folsom Bridge, I think it's called, is actually the tallest bridge in California. And when we were on our way there, it didn't seem like it was really high up until you make that like sharp curve and you realize how high you are in the mountain. And even when we parked on a decline, and the edge from the path to the rest of the mountain was so steep. It was really intimidating and scary, but we went all the way down. Even Benny joined us. We saw the man-made waterfall. It was just really amazing and fun and scary, so I think the element of scariness really complemented it. And what else did we do? The next day, I needed one more skein to finish the sleeve, and so we were on our way to the yarn store where our car broke down on the highway. We were on the highway. We were able to get off the highway. We got the tow truck, but all in all, that took about 4 hours, and we never made it to the yarn store. So that was really stressful. I tried to stay calm, which I did stay calm throughout the whole ordeal, but it just really was stressful to feel stranded on the highway. The car was overheating, the engine was overheating. It was just very scary, but I'm glad we are all safe. I was also happy that Benny was not with us, because I thought, oh, let me take Ben, and I said, you know what, I'll just leave him, we'll go to the yarn store and come back. So I'm glad, because that would have stressed me out to make sure he was okay. And sometimes when I'm a little bit anxious and stressed, he picks it up too, and I feel bad because he's worrying about me when I'm worrying about him. So I was so happy he was just home. He was not happy that we took so long. He was like crying when we came back, like, but I'm so happy he's here. He is really my best friend. Valentine's was this past week, and it was really nice. I got to try a new restaurant called Unibowl, and even though I didn't get this dish, this is the type of restaurant where they bring the food to you uncooked, and it has the little flame, and you cook it and then you eat it. I forgot what it's called. Hot pot? Sorry. It's called hot pot, I believe, and I didn't get that because I wasn't sure, and it seemed like it was a lot of food. So for my first time, I went with the Hawaiian barbecue. There's a lot of Hawaiian cultural restaurants here where I'm at, and I love them. I love the food. It's so good, and I think I've eaten it like 3 or 4 times since discovering it. But I would love to go back to the Unibowl. I would love to try the hot pot. They have everything, vegetarian, seafood, chicken, all types of options. And I love all the stuff that they have in that restaurant. Even though I haven't tried it yet, it's just my type of food. So good. Even though I didn't buy yarn this week, I did enter into a giveaway. I believe it was through Penguin Team's Instagram account back in December, and I finally got the package, not because it was a delay on their part, but because I live on campus. They closed the mailroom over the holiday break, so I asked my boss if she can accept the delivery, and then because of COVID and working from home, I just happened to get the the books the next time I saw her. So it was a 6-book giveaway, and you got to enter what type of genre you wanted. If you wanted romance, if you wanted young adult, if you wanted thriller. And I won the thriller series. And so I have There's Someone Inside Your House, and here it says it's a Netflix film by Stephanie Perkins. I have Dark and Shallow Lies by Ginny Myers Sane. I love this cover, and it's hard cover. In This Town, Magic Runs Deep, but Secrets Run Deeper. That's what it says on the front. This one's a little scary. I don't like blood. Blood creeps me out. I get really nauseous. But this one's They'll Never Catch Us by Jessica Goodman. The Woods Are Always Watching. This one sounds good. I like these little creepy ones. And this one is by Stephanie Perkins, another one by Stephanie Perkins. And last but not least, The Corpse Queen by Heather Herman. And the 6th book was, I forgot what the 6th book's name was, but I already read it last year. And I have a staff member that loves to read as well, and so I said, if you're interested, here you go. That one is about teens that end up in the middle of a bank robbery, and it's a thriller. I couldn't put it down. I think I read it in 1 or 2 days, but I'll put the name of the book here as well as how it looks. But I'm hoping that this giveaway will get me back into reading. What really turned me off from reading was I was listening to a lot of nonfiction audiobooks. I realized that I was talking too much, that the camera turned off on me. But I was saying what turned me off from reading was I wanted to, last year, even though I read 42 books, a lot of that was young adult and graphic novels. And I wanted to challenge myself to try a new genre, try a different way of reading. So I went to a lot of audiobooks. I listened to a lot of nonfiction this year. So far, I'm up to 7 books this year. And my goal is to read 29 books for my 29th birthday, which is in November. Last year was 28 books, and I made it to 42. But I was listening to When Breath Becomes Air, which is a book. It was written by a neurosurgeon who found out that he had lung cancer and had a few months left to live. And then I also listened to Breath, which was about how we're breathing wrong and how mouth breathing has a lot of potential damage to our bodies, to our minds, and how the way our previous generations, many years ago, was nose breathing. Listening to nonfiction really bored me. It kind of burned me out, and my goal is to go back to my loves, which is young adult thrillers. I love thrillers, and maybe try to branch out of my comfort zone by going to more adult genre instead of young adult genre. I don't really like high school themes, or I don't really like high school themes because I can't even remember. I think I was in high school 10 years ago. So I like more young adults, mid-adult, pretty much my age. That's what I've been reading. But I want to venture a little bit outside of young adult because a lot of it is written for, what is this, teens to 20, low 20s, I'm not sure. But thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for watching and taking your time to visit my channel today. I hope you and your family are doing well and safe. And also don't forget to let me know what you're working on, what's inspiring you, what's on your needles or your hook, so we can knit together.